Hey, so let's talk real quick about intellectual understanding, integration, and embodiment. Intellectual understanding is the stage where we gather the information, right? We gather the information, we make sense of it, we make connections. Maybe we're reading all the articles, watching all the videos, talking to friends about it, talking to Chat GPT, chatting with our guides, whatever the avenue is, we're gathering, making sense of it, connecting things, finding the meaning. Yes? And then we can begin to talk about it ourselves, become knowledgeable of it. And then the integration happens, right? Where we go and apply it. That praxis happens where the theory, the concept, the idea, the topic then becomes applied, right? We apply it to our world and see how it functions. If there's holes in the theory or the idea or the concept, if there needs to be tweaks based upon what we need individually, if there are holes in our understanding. And so what happens at that point is, because we are overthinkers and overtalkers, we tend to go back and forth between the intellectual understanding part of things and the integration, sometimes delaying our embodiment, or maybe not even getting there all together, right? But after that integration happens, we then take that experience of the integration and the intellectual understanding and we embody it, literally bring it into our bodies, right, as wisdom. And that shows up as feeling, that shows up in those deeper layers of knowing, right? And so let me give you an example. My guides were talking to me about a month ago about art and how we use art to channel and to tap into source energy. And of course we do. Artists have been doing this for eons, and it doesn't matter what kind of art, writing, painting, drawing, poetry, whatever it is, right? We use that as a way of tapping in, and what my guides were saying as a way of pulling down, so to speak, because I've got this image of like a column of light, being channeled through us from source energy, but as a way of pulling down those higher vibration frequencies, right, of the quote 5D that people keep talking about we're moving into, but just our collective ascension in general, right? And I began to look around and think, of course, that we've been doing that for so long, right? This is a way that we get it into our reality, more grounded in our experience here. And so what I took that as is them suggesting that I do more of it, because I do love art and I do love making it. But I had this thing where I would always tell myself, okay, at the end of the day, I'm going to do some art. And then the day would run out. The hours would get away from me. I wouldn't have enough time to ever get to the art the way that I really wanted to. And so what they suggested, my guides, is that I flip it, right? So they gave me the words, they gave me the understanding. I could talk about it, and I did. And then it was time for me to apply it to my life and to my reality. And so then they flipped my day and they said, start with art instead of putting it at the end of the day. And so I did that. And it only took a couple of times or so, a couple of mornings, I remember, in 1 week. And then the weekend happened, and I was there making art, and I turned on some music, and then I began to sing and dance the whole weekend through. That was my way of embodying and turning that information and that experience of integration into wisdom, right? I was literally like singing and dancing it into my being. And that is what embodiment is. When there just now becomes this deep knowing of something, this deep truth that you have kind of cracked open for yourself. And it just is, right? It just is now a part of who you are. And so now I cannot not make art. Like I have to make art. I make time for art when there are moments in the day where I don't know what to do with myself because I've got a gap in my schedule, or I'm feeling a little, ungrounded or jittery about something. I pull out a sheet of paper, I pull out some writing, whatever it is I'm working on, and I get to some art, right? So this has now become very much a part of who I am. Nearly every day now, I am making art. And so, all right, I just wanted to run that down, and I hope that made sense. I'll chat with you guys soon.